meeting, as we see a lot of new faces. There's a lot of people, as Glenn mentioned, that have been with us for many years. But just a review on what Advanced Manufacturing Employer Partnership is and some of the things that we do and what our focus is. So to start off, we're funded through Workforce Solutions Collaborative of Metro Hartford. And our main focus areas are on recruitment, retention, and training. So that means a lot of different things. It is a fairly narrow focus, and it's one of the things that separates us from a lot of the organizations and groups that are out there. We are not a membership group per se, like a dues collecting membership group. We're an affiliation of roughly 250 companies. 35 of those companies we would consider core companies that are taking advantage regularly of programs and services and attending meetings and contributing. So what we focus on are these items: recruitment, retention, and training. So our work revolves around building the pipeline in Connecticut for skilled labor, helping people to obtain entry-level jobs, quality entry-level jobs, and then helping employers to train them and to retain them. So there's a lot of work around culture. There's a lot of work around incumbent training. There's work around technology and all types of different things that you'll hear about later on in the program. And it's also very important to us that we establish diverse, inclusive workforces across the state. So when this started, and Lynn will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that this group has been around for 8 years.
So yeah, our group has probably been around for 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
You were at those first meetings.
Yes.
And but we have received funding for this initiative for close to over 13 years.
Wonderful. Okay, great.
But we really came in strong about 8 years ago. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I should have asked that. I wasn't prepared, but thank you, Lynn, for saving me yet again. So for the last 8 years, the group has evolved, and we've narrowed our focus, and we have expanded our reach during that time. And also 2 years ago, we added another group to the AMEP family. So it started off, and the meetings were in East Hartford, and there was a lot of folks from that region there. And we realized that the manufacturers that are served in this region, there's a wide disparity of different challenges that they have, whether it's the type of workforce or the type of customer that they have or the type of region that they live in. For example, I was coming up from Middlefield to East Hartford, and the landscape in Middlefield looks a lot different than what employers are facing up in the Hartford region. So we decided to add AMEP Central and call the core group that was AMEP North. So that's where we're at today. And Glenn is the chair of AMEP North, and I'm the chair of AMEP Central. And so we have two fairly distinct groups that look different in a lot of different ways as far as what their customer base looks like and some of the challenges that they have revolving around workforce or transportation or childcare. So what's nice about that is we have two laboratories of best practices that can come out of there, and we use that to drive forward AMEP. While we're still working on the same overarching goals, they look a little bit different in each area. So if we can go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about some of the partners and stakeholders within AMEP. So in addition to the employers, which AMEP is an employer-led group, we couldn't do the work that we do, and we couldn't achieve our goals if we didn't have a wide variety of stakeholders and partners. So on the top, starting this year, over the last year, with Colin Cooper and Kelly Valeries, in their new roles in the state, they have been immensely helpful and just wonderful, terrific partners in what they're doing for manufacturing in the state of Connecticut and what Kelly's doing specifically around workforce development. So all state departments have really stepped up. CT, Department of Labor, DECD. I would also add to that list Department of Education, which has really started to become a partner of ours more deeply this year. Capital Workforce Partners and other workforce boards as well, like Workforce Alliance, KRA, and Synergy High School programs throughout there. I noticed that we have our new contact on from Capital Workforce Partners, Ben, today. So I'd like to give him an opportunity to introduce himself a little later. Journey Home and their program, Career Pathways Employment Program. The Working Cities Challenge initiatives, which has been really terrific, and we're hoping to expand this. And this is a program that came through the Boston Fed, and there's several cities in Connecticut that have been able to obtain these funds, and it's really helping to get people working in these cities. So East Hartford is one, Hartford, Middletown, there's a few others as well. Higher education. We do a lot of work and have really good relationships with community colleges, with Goodwin, UConn, CCSU, and their partnerships are truly meaningful through a lot of the programs that they have and just their insight and helping to meet our goal of incumbent worker training while also getting people the into really good, solid entry-level jobs. I would also like to add to that list the regional school districts in each town. So we have a lot of terrific relationships with K through 12 school districts and helping them to build their curriculum out so that they're helping to fill the pipeline. And then finally, the National Fund for Workforce Solutions, which has been such a terrific partner in so many ways over the years, and we absolutely couldn't do any of the work that we do without them. So I think there's a good chance that I probably left someone off or some group off, and that was not intentional. This group is constantly evolving, and I'm just so thankful that we are able to say that we have so many different groups that are really invested in the success that we do. And so I thank you all very much. So Glenn, I know that we wanted to open it up a little bit now to talk to the group about some of the things that they've experienced over the last year and how the pandemic has changed their business. And this could be in so many different ways, whether it's challenges by having to make operational changes or add safety components to the way you work, or unfortunately having to reduce the people that are working at your facility, or having them go remote, or trying to hire during a pandemic, navigating all the different programs that are out there funding wise. So if anybody has anything that they'd like to share on how the pandemic has affected their business, we'd love to open it up now.
It certainly has been a pretty crazy year. Hey, but before we do that, if I could, Charles, I just want to mention a few things that you were talking about. You know, one of the things that strikes me as extremely important this year is the bonds that we've made, the connections we've made, and the collaboration between AMEP and the CMC and the state of Connecticut and all of the educational facilities that are around the state of Connecticut. It's just unbelievable that we have such close relationships with Commissioners David Lehman and Kurt Westby of the DECD and Department of Labor. Just pretty incredible strides this year with the state of Connecticut. But more importantly, pulling the state of Connecticut, Goodwin, as Nantucket, Manchester Community College, CCAT, all together like never before, to be able to make an organization of folks who really want to advance manufacturing in the state of Connecticut. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I applaud you in bringing those things up. I think it's really important. I just wanted to re-emphasize that you actually are stating that these things are real. I mean, we're together with groups like we've never been before. So Thanks for bringing that up. And then, as you were saying, Colin Cooper, that was a big win for the state of Connecticut for manufacturing, a chief manufacturing officer. As far as I know, I think the state of Connecticut, may be one of the only states out of the United States who have a chief manufacturing officer who reports to the governor directly for manufacturing. And that is pretty amazing. And then Kelly Valeris, again, as you were saying, with all the workforce development right down our alley, exactly where AMEP needs to be. We've got another champion who's leading our cause. So things are happening better now than they've happened in the past. And I can't be more excited and more happy. Now, the pandemic certainly changed everything this year. And I want to ask some folks, in our virtual audience to speak up. What has changed? What have you done? I know we here at Phoenix have done a lot this year. I'll tell you some excitement just this weekend. We had one individual who just tested positive. Absolutely shut down our quality organization that inhibits us from shipping a lot of parts, but we're finding ways to work through it. It's just, very, very difficult. But is there anybody out there who'd like to in and just say a few words on what happened in your shop? I know I see Karen Backus there and smiling. So if you would tell us, I know you had a lot of questions. Tell us what happened down at Don. You got to come off.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we've been very fortunate. I think we experienced our first employee testing positive in November. So we feel pretty good about that, going from wherever we started, February, March, April, till then, with 100 people and 5 buildings, to have 1 or 2 in November and 1 or 2 right now. I find that, maintaining the protocols of staying in your area, wiping things down, staying home if you're not well, have been working. And then the other thing that's really helped is cross-training, because the people who are out haven't left us, where we're wiped out in that one particular department. So cross-training is huge, and that's just come over the years, like the employees that are out, one's new, so, that happens. And then one is a 25-year person. So, there's backup and cross-training. So I think it's more just everybody sees the increase in the state, and now it's touching us here personally, not just, friends, somebody I was with this weekend, 2 or 3 removed. It's actually in-house. So just tightening up the measures and having the cross-training really helps us, and just continuing to communicate, to everybody what to do. We have a lot of vacation this month, so it's kind of bare bones anyway, which is good.
So did you create zones, in your shop, ask folks to stay in certain zones? How about PPE? Did you have a hard time getting that, during the year? And how about now? Things like that. Anything?
We didn't really have a hard time getting PPE. We have it on hand due to the nature of the work that we do. And then we had, we reached out to you guys with that gal who was making them for us. And then a couple of employees started making them. And then, you can get them everywhere. And now they're a fashion statement, masks. Staying in the zones, we implemented because the protocols did that back in whatever that was, May or something, right? And the DECD, I think. And we have, like I said, 4 or 5 buildings, so we're kind of zoned anyway, but it was more of the socializing. Hey, I'm going to bring the paperwork over to those people and say hello, where you kind of cut that out now. So, and moving jobs from department to department, we've come back to where we just narrow that down to a key few people, and that's it.
Well, it sounds like you know, Harcon really did some really good stuff to make sure that you guys did not, you know, have a spread if it did have an outbreak, and that's great.
Yeah. It's been good. I think the travel's a hard part for people.
Mm-hmm. The people, folks coming into your facility, I know we closed down. How many folks out here did the same thing? Did you do that, Karen? Yeah.
We stopped visitors.
Yeah.
Except
It's
for
tough.
the auditors. They were allowed to come in.
And machine repairers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, machine repair, yeah.
Things like that. I see Paul Lavoie in there. He's general manager at Carey Manufacturing. I wonder, Paul, if you could just pop on for just a little bit. I was wondering how your staffing was affected. Shared work, layoffs. How did that work for you?
Hi, thanks, Glenn. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. You know, we've been fortunate through the pandemic where we've been able to maintain all of our staffing levels. Certainly the PPP program helped us tremendously. On the Floyd manufacturing side, it's automotive. And we actually had a plant shut down. Our main plant that we shipped to in Mexico shut down. So we used 13 4-week accounting periods. For one of the periods, the 5th period, we shipped 0. So with no PPP money, we would be in we'd have been in big trouble 45 days later from a cash flow perspective. So we're able to maintain staffing levels, and fortunately, the automotive industry that we happen to be in, the supply chain that we're in, is doing very well. So we're actually now looking at adding people to our organization. On the Carey manufacturing side, we're seeing about a 10-15% reduction in orders, and it's allowed us to maintain our staffing levels and help us build some inventory. So Carey and Amatom are catalog companies, so the more that we can build inventory on parts that people need, the better off that we're going to be. So we've been fortunate to maintain our staffing levels and even grow them as we're looking at 2021. I will tell you that, you know, my day is usually filled with what surprise am I going to be brought with today. So, you know, we had a positive COVID test over the weekend, shut down, same thing. Our quality department sanitized it, and right up, you know, from the time I walked in this morning until I jumped on this call, I've been communicating with the organization about that. So it certainly changes my day on a regular day-to-day basis of just kind of dealing with things.
One thing is for sure, and I think I've said this, you know, since March, you know, when the going gets tough, you know, the saying, the tough get going. We found that, you know, a lot of leadership in many different companies had struggled through the pandemic. You know, you find out people who really have to lead still do lead. It's tough. It's hard. And that being said, Betty DeCruz, I see you're on. I was wondering if you could pop on and give us any insight as to what you've done with respect to the pandemic, if possible.
Yes, absolutely, Glenn. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to share our story because sounds like it might be a little different from everyone else because we had an outbreak early on, actually. We had one right the week before Memorial Weekend in May. And we took every precaution that was recommended to us. We took the pandemic seriously. We were wearing masks before they were mandated. Again, you know, not everyone was as diligent as other people, but, you know, the company protocol was for everyone to be wearing them. And we had 2 cases on the same morning. We got a call saying that, you know, they had tested positive. One, we recommended that they get tested. The other one went on their own. And, you know, that was very alarming. And so we held a company meeting outside. We sent everyone home early. And and we had the extra holiday. So we were shut down for almost 7 days.
Wow.
And that gave us time to, just sanitize and have everyone tested. Actually, we started with recommending testing, and then we mandated testing as the test results were coming back positive. So it was a really interesting case study for us, because there was no way that we would have predicted that we would have had that level of positive cases had we not mandated testing.
Wow.
Because there were a large number that were asymptomatic. We have, a good number of young people on staff. And so, we felt like we got ahead of the virus by doing that. Luckily, we were a little slower anyway, so it didn't impact production or deliveries. So it was very trying when we were handling the situation, because communicating with employees, we were concerned about family members getting, the virus. So as I think a small family business, you're just very connected with your people. And so, in that perspective, it felt very challenging. But, no one was hospitalized. No one was seriously sick. Most of the symptoms were either very mild, and it was flu season, or not allergy season. So some of the symptoms could have been attributed to allergies if they hadn't been tested. It was very, very interesting
Well,
to say, in hindsight, especially.
It sounds like there was a lot going on at Dick Cruz as well, but thank you for sharing your stories. Both you, Paul. I think one last, just before we get off this, Matt Brush, I think you have a few things you'd like to share as well, and then we'll move on. I mean, amazing some of the stories. Matt?
Yeah, thanks. I very interested in how Dick Cruz got access to so many tests, but what I wanted to share about PCX's experience is we were fortunate to have a plan that I had developed in another life for the H1N1 flu that sort of turned out to be a non-event. But back in February, was able to pull that plan out, share it with our leadership team, whose response was literally, one of them wrote across the top, when is this doomsday scenario supposed to happen? And in fact, everything in that plan has now happened, except having so many positive cases that we had to shut down. We've been fortunate. We didn't get our first case until October. We're now having a post-Thanksgiving outbreak. And yes, we've had all the same problems as everybody else. We did manage to source a large number of fabric masks from another portfolio company in the same private equity portfolio. We've had the same struggles getting people to wear them. But I would say our response has turned into a series of ever shrinking perimeters, right? So we first said permissive work from home, then we went to mandatory work from home if we're possible. We went from sort of limited visitors to essential visitors only, and we're now, while we had a bunch of people take advantage of FFCRA leave in April as free vacation, we're now seeing people who are actually needing to use their FFCRA paid leave for their own illnesses. We'll probably have right now 3 people confirmed positive and a 4th presumptive positive. But we're about to post record results for the full year in terms of continuing to meet customer needs. But I think it's just been helpful to think about, where do you set up your perimeters? And as some other people have observed, those perimeters are now inside the plant. right? The virus is here. Even our continuous cleaning staff can't be everywhere all at once. We've got sections of the plant roped off, and we're actively engaged with our potential super spreaders. Seems like a common thread with quality. They have to go throughout the plant, and they are potential super spreaders. And thankfully, our manager of that department has been super helpful. So we've also, just in the last couple of weeks, tapped some funds for hiring, supporting the training of people hired from employers who were affected by the pandemic. So there's been some help out there. We were not eligible for PPP funds or other funds. But overall, I have to say that the team's done pretty well. And I think there's some long-term implications for how we run the business in terms of more people working from home more of the time. And we're really going to struggle with communications because we haven't been able to do a quarterly communications meeting since December.
Yeah, it's definitely, you hit on a key topic that we were talking about, which was communications. We're meeting virtually. We don't see people eye to eye. We're not shaking hands, these days, but it makes a big difference in what's happening with running your business. So I want to thank everybody who came on, who shared a little bit of what's happened during the pandemic. Obviously, that's just, touching the top of the iceberg. There's probably so more that you've done and experienced, this year that, we could spend another hour and a half talking about it. And I'm sure we will somewhere along the way. We'll start talking about how this happened, and we'll look back on this and say, wow, we survived it. It's definitely, not business as usual. But what I'd like to do now is transition over to Lynn Rasick to take a look at what did we do during 2020 for AMEP. And Lynn, if you would be so kind, I'll turn the reins over to you.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Charles. Thank you to all the employers that are here today and the contributions that you make in all of our work. I think for me, when I sit back and want to look at the year in review, what's exciting is the assistance and support that I'm hoping that we provided to our AMEP employers. We have been involved in AMEP for over 13 years. Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology was named as the manufacturing intermediary through Workforce Solutions. My friend Enrique, who helps us with our vision and guides us financially. By the way, we've been fully funded for 2021, so we continue with this work, which provides the fuel to do everything that Glenn and Charles want to do, like weekly webinars. It provides us with a foundation for our staff, for Monica, Millie, Ed, and Alice to all come together and work around this. So we feel very fortunate. I hear, when I listen to the employers, I'm moved by what we see on a daily basis, which is the volume of small to medium-sized employers and family-owned businesses. So when you're talking about the pandemic, when you're talking about things that will impact your family and your employees and your frontline workers, that's really meaningful for us. And so I want to continue to move forward with AMEP, and we have that really through our leadership in paying attention to what you have to say, and bringing a voice to the state and to our policymakers around this. Just to echo Glenn and Charles, I mean, for many years, people have been saying there should be someone at the state level involved in manufacturing, and it happened. It happened because we had a voice in that. And now for Kelly Valeries to be on board with regard to workforce, that's going to be extremely helpful for us as we move forward into 2021 and 2022, post-pandemic, which will have its own challenges. So a lot of good stuff there. With regard to the actual work and why we're here for you and what's important about our work, placements, we have always focused with our funding on entry-level job placements, which include in many cases employer wage subsidies. Our population that we target are 18-year-olds with a high school diploma and less than an associate's degree. Okay, those are the job seekers that we work with. We validate competencies through assessments, and we work with them around job readiness. Many people on this call today have employed our entry-level job seekers and continue to employ them. And for that, I am grateful. I think that we do have a pre-qualification process in terms of mechanical aptitude and math aptitude, and also getting a lot of guidance from Charles and Glenn on, you know, work readiness and what employers are looking for. So with placements this year, our focus has been on 18 to 24-year-olds, specifically through our KRA program, which is funded through Capital Workforce Partners. It's our most challenging population to employ, and we've done a really great job with it. I believe we're over 10 placements, maybe more than that, and our average salaries are hovering around $15.50, which is about $2 more than last year, and which really helps in the household income situation for our frontline workers. The other thing I just want to mention on entry level is we have been fortunate enough to work with Roy Manelli and Journey Home and work around a Career Pathways Employment Program, which is funded by the heavily funded through Harvard Foundation for Public Giving. Roy's background in aerospace and defense and his understanding of the manufacturing industry has been just a wonderful thing for us. And again, that whole keeping an eye on our job seekers and really being able to pre-qualify and know what employers are looking for in terms of job seekers. That program will continue with both KRA and the Career Pathways Employment Program into 2021. So thank you for your support to all the employers that are involved in that. Monica is going to speak a little bit after I do, I believe, and she's going to talk with you about our job quality initiatives. This is all about creating a workplace, an equitable workplace where all employees have access to the same benefits and services. And we're helping employers get to that point. We're helping to lead discussions around inclusion and diversity and equity and what that all means, and how to create the best situation in your facilities. We were also extremely lucky to be funded for some leadership training that Monica spearheaded, and she'll talk a little bit about that. We were able to offer free training to several of our employers and hope to do more of that type of thing in the future. With regard to training, we do a lot with mechanical aptitude. We have career awareness sessions, online manufacturing training through Tooling U and 180 Skills. That all falls under AMEP in our workforce area. So we have Millie Hemming who helps with that, and Ed Marenko. And so we do have staff that support that, and we really work diligently at making sure we have the right assessments to move forward and to be able to recommend entry-level workers, especially to our employers. As a result of all of this work that we've done, and I don't think Ron Angelo is on yet. He's our CEO at CCAT. Are you on, Ron? I don't think so. He has supported all of this work and continues
joining in a few moments, so I think he'll be on towards the end on some of the perspectives.
Thank you, Alice. he's been very supportive, and as a result of this, we have been awarded several grants through the state of Connecticut CARES Act funding that has brought money into CCAT that has helped employers get a jump start on 2021. One of them is our most significant program right now, which is ending December 27th, is our REV-Up program. And it is, we are currently at approximately 60 people that we have rehired from the manufacturing industry. So they were previously laid off as a result of COVID. They have been rehired in different situations, some with the same employer and some with other employers that are in need. It's been an extremely successful program for us, and we're able to offer employer wage subsidies. So it helps the employer to bring on someone new and to, again, get a jump start for 2021. The last piece that I want to say that will take us off into something that's really important for all of us at CCAT is the building of a credible partnership. One thing that in our strategic planning in 2019, I remember Roy was there, Paul was there, Charles, Glenn, Karen joined us, Atlas Stamping, a lot of discussion around what was needed. And one of the things that was very important to the team was that we continued to establish a credible partnership. And that has really happened for us. And Glenn and Charles suggested, I think it was Glenn, and then Charles thought it was a great idea, of course, talked about weekly webinars. And we approached Ron Angelo about weekly webinars, and he said, let's do it. Alice and I kind of took the lead with that, and we have led 36 weekly webinars with over 1,600 attendees, that included employer perspectives and topics that were relevant to the industry. That has given AMEP an incredible boost. It has allowed further funding to come our way that trickles down through our employers. So I want to say thank you, especially to Glenn and Charles. And the next slide just speaks to that one word that's, I think, really important right now, is that resiliency. And who will be most resilient? How will we recover? How will we move forward? And it's so much of AMEP's mission in this has to do with our leaders, Charles and Glenn. So we just wanted to show this little video if we can. Monica's helping, and Alice, we're trying our best. They're great at it. But just a little story, something we found, and just want you to take a look and listen.
Let me know that the volume comes on.
Okay. Oops. Yeah, it's not working.
I know that the skeptic about the kids' hands, and when they get in their hands, they enjoy. It is important because right now we're all thinking about bad things. You gotta think about positive too. You know what I mean? You gotta think of the lives go on. You know, you're not thinking about just, oh, we gotta be sick, we gotta do this. No, we gotta think about good things. The good things come from something, enjoyable. We started with cupcakes, and then we got it with pizza. And then there's a couple with pizza sauce, and then a couple with cheese, mozzarella cheese, and a couple with pepperoni. Make a mess. But at the same time, the kids enjoy it. Make a mess. He's happy. I know it's going to take a lot away from us, but we're thinking about us. I hope there's going to be more things for the kids. Until we open, we'll have time.
I think it was a little bit, the sound might have been a little bit off. Sorry about that. But the messaging, I love the messaging that this particular food manufacturer brings to the table. It's Russo's in Enfield. And I'd love we have something a little special for Charles and Glenn to open now that we left with them, and a little message from Russo's.
Lynn, I couldn't hear you.
Oh,
I don't know
you
if it's
can't
me
hear me?
or if it's, hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you.
I hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I probably messed something up on this. I'm sorry.
Glenn, we want you to open your box, and Charles as well. We did a little delivery for you both.
Yes, thank you very much. I am, whoa, look at
There we
this.
go. What do I got here?
And I really loved the message that was in there about make a mess. I think it's something that we could all do a little bit more of. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. We have to get in there and roll our sleeves up and, you know, do some experimenting to get things right.
This is fantastic. Yeah, let me show you guys something. Can you see that? That's for all of us. Absolutely. Thank you, AMEP. All of AMEP. You guys are rock stars. I swear to God.
Thank you very much.
Did you get that too, Charles?
Yes. Thank you very much. This is tremendous. I definitely appreciate it, and the work that you do, Lynn and Monica and Alice and Millie and everyone at CCAT. All of the things that you do, the support that you give, it makes it possible. Glenn and I were able to put forward some ideas and help, but really the brunt of the work is all on your shoulders. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. I will be outside of my house in Hebron, handing out after this.
Individually wrapped.
A drive-through cake pickup in Hebron? Is that what I just heard?
Hey, I gotta make a mess, right? So.
Hey, Charles, I think you agree with me, but I tell you, CCAT and the rest of you guys out there, everybody who's in the webinar right now, I personally want to give a hand to Lynn, Alice, Monica, everybody who's at Millie. You've done a fantastic job. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful thing to have you keeping AMEP moving during this extremely difficult and trying time. So thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, no, thank you, Lynn. And I think we have, Monica is up next. Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Those cakes look amazing. So let us know how they taste. Send us a picture of you eating them.
Drive-by pickup.
Yeah. Sorry, it's bad outside. No, I'm kidding. So far we've covered a lot of stuff, and you know, Lynn had mentioned about the job quality work that I'm doing through the National Fund for Workforce Solutions and CCAT. So I'm working with 3 companies in particular. I'm going to try to run through this quickly because I know we're running a little behind on scheduling. We have some other important things to share, but I just want to share that working with 3 manufacturers in particular with this work, but I'm not going to hone in on that work in particular. I'm just going to really talk about job quality and how important it is right now. So the main thing I want to talk about is really just checking in with your team. This is something that you should always practice, but I think especially right now during the pandemic, you know, everything going on, really, you should know your staff. If you're a small company, you know, you should know mannerisms of people. You should know when people are having an off day. If you're a supervisor, you know, encourage your supervisors, team leads to really get to know their staff. That way they can be checking in on them when something just seems a little off, if they're having a bad day. Especially during this time, like I said, you know, with checking in with your team and stuff, it really just checks that morale, really just checks to kind of see, you know, on a professional level, on a personal level. Some people are dealing with a lot more stuff outside of work. And if you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if their basic needs aren't being met, or if they're dealing with other things, they can't be their 100% self at work. So this really helps hone in on that job quality and just making sure that your team is well taken care of, that you're about, you know, making sure that production at the end, especially with the pandemic, the election, you know, the racial inequalities, injustice, the remote learning. If you're parents, believe me, it's tough. You know, a lot of the schools are going in and out of remote learning, trying to balance working and, you know, helping maintain a household and things like that. The next thing I want to hit on that I'm hearing a lot about right now is transparency. again, this is something that you should be practicing all the time. But right now it's really tough. We're hearing from a lot of the companies, with people on the ground, your frontline employees, people out there actually just not hearing what's happening because, with the social distancing and things like that, we can't have the stand-up meetings that we used to have. We can't have the morning huddles that we had. We can't have the quarterly meetings and things like that. So a lot of things aren't being, you might share with your managers or you might share with your leadership team, but a lot of times it's not being trickled down to that frontline person. So a lot of people are saying, hey, I don't even know if we're okay as a company. I don't know if they're going to be a layoff tomorrow. I don't know what's going on. So I say overshare, especially during this time. Just be transparent, because nothing creates more unneeded anxiety and fear more than unknowing. So I think just being able to share with everybody, like, hey, we're doing okay. We're hoping we're doing everything we can to, not have to lay anybody off, to take care of everybody. So I just think that communication piece is so important, and let them know all the hard work you're doing behind the scenes too, because unfortunately perception's a lot of people's reality. So when they see you sit in your office and doing nothing, not nothing, but like they see you in your office doing things, they don't realize all the hard work you're putting in to keep your doors open, to make sure people are getting paychecks. Paul, you had mentioned the PPE, applying for things to be able to keep your doors open and to get that support, and just making sure that you are taking care of everybody. Again, people don't know what they don't know. So just share as much as you can to get rid of that, anxiety and fear. Also activating the employee's voice. I always say that, you should always be, again, like I said, checking in with your team, that transparency. But if you're not making decisions based off of your employee's voice and including them in decision making, you're probably not really having their buy-in. So making sure right now that whether it's employer satisfaction surveys, whether it's just checking in like, hey, we're thinking about this process that we're wanting to do. What do you think about it? Just making sure that you're activating all of your employees' voices in big pictures and just things that you're thinking of moving forward. And then also, Lynn had hit on the leadership training with DeLisa Group. We got together even really early stages of planning for this year for AMEP. And, Lynn and I were talking through, like, what have we done? What can we offer? And I kind of mentioned, we haven't really talked about future of an employer, really that succession planning, through the job quality work I'm hearing of, this person's going to retire in 5 years. We really need to have a plan in place, but people just don't know where to start or how to kind of push that forward. So as Lynn and I were talking through everything, and I said, what if we get together like a big, training of some sort that we can start talking about that higher level strategic planning, succession planning, culture of a place, things like that. So it was kind of a short notice. So we have a really small group, and there's a handful of you on here right now that are in that training right now. It's an 11-week session with Kelly McDaniel from the DeLisa Group, and it's just covering things like strategy, succession and workforce planning, training and developing your workforce, organizational culture, leadership styles, communication, leading change, developing a high performance team, and then building a high accountability culture. So really just a high level overview of really getting employers future thinking, because we don't want employers to get to that 5 years down the road and they weren't planning for it during this time. So whether it's cross training, re-eventing your culture, making sure that just following back into that job quality. That was really quick, but I just wanted to share with you guys, just making sure that you're really taking care of your team. It should be all the time, but right now it's tough. People are really going through some times, and I think it's just so important to check in and just make sure everybody's good, because people don't say stuff when they need stuff the most, I feel like. So just making sure that you're checking in and just really reading your team and being there for everybody.
That is that was a really good presentation. I have to tell you, some things that most people don't take with a lot of care is some of the empathy we have to have during these trying times. I know here at Phoenix, one of our core values is empathy. Not everybody has a great day every day. It's tough, especially now. We wake up, you've got things that are going on with your family. I'm looking at Chelsea out there. I don't know what's happening while you're out there with your family, and Eileen Candles and Amanda. Everybody has something that's going on, and it's really difficult to be able to make sure that we take a break every now and then and check in with your team. How you doing? How's your family? Is everything going well? Sometimes as a leader in a factory, we're focused on the bottom and top lines, but those wouldn't be possible unless you really had that workforce that comes in every single day in the face of all of this challenge. So Monica, fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up. I think at this point, we transition again to talk about some manufacturing, training and upskilling. So if I could, let's bring in Alice Stiles and Sam Greenbank now, who will bring us through what we've done with AMEP over the year here. So Alice and Sam.
Absolutely. And Sam, I figured you'd say hello again as well. So your face pops up.
Yeah, hello.
Great. So Sam and I are going to tag team. Both mentioned how important training is. I heard Karen talking about upskilling and cross-training and how important it is to build competencies across the organization, whether people are out or whether it's part of adapting environment. And so at CCAT through AMEP leadership, our role is to help adopt those emerging industries through either demonstrations to educate you as well as your team about the different technologies, and then provide specific training at increasing levels of skills that are needed. And you've heard already a couple of the different initiatives. We've had voucher programs for years to provide the one-to-one match for companies using state funding. We've added 2 more this year, the state has. So in addition to helping for the traditional MVP program, we have the new Industry 4.0 voucher program launching this year, as well as an additive manufacturing voucher program. So we don't have a lot of time to get into specifics on those today, but the real importance is AMEP as the leader of your voice, helping inform us on the skills of the workforce that you need. Particularly, Monica, as you transition to the next slide, because we know Industry 4.0 is here. And while the slide is hard to read about the 9 technologies that are impacting industrial production, this is the now, this is the future. And in order to stay relevant and grow and thrive, the adoption of all of these technologies is so critical. So Monica, if you hit the transition to the next one, the 4 focus areas that CCAT has, and I think Ron joined us as well. So Ron, I didn't know if you wanted to jump in here or later on, but the Internet of Things, additive manufacturing, we're investing in more technologies to bring into CCAT's facility in East Hartford. Big data and analytics, as we all go to cloud-based technologies and censoring every single thing to inform our decisions and help with predictive maintenance. And then Sam's on, one of our engineers. And Sam, I thought you might want to touch on some of the initiatives we have with automation and robotics in particular.
Yeah, so we have been looking at here at the AMC Center, Advanced Manufacturing Center, we're looking at, how do we best help the community, manufacturing community around us? We have quite a bit of experience now in robotics, automation, additive manufacturing. We're looking at expanding that. And part of what we're trying to do is to figure out where should we spend our time and our effort to best help the community. Automation, robotics is huge. It's a massive field. There's a lot of different aspects, and we can help with a lot of different things, but it does really help us. It can help us if we can focus on what you need to best, suit you.
Perfect. And we'll talk a little bit more in the future about some of the initiatives coming up. And Monica, if you move to the next slide, these are some of the classes that have been offered this year, either in person or synchronously online, which we've recorded all of them and are making them available on demand. We see, so you and your employees can watch these at any time if you haven't seen them yet. And especially we see a lot of faces that are participating in the REV-Up program and the 180 skills, which I'll touch on in just a second. The main message is there's a lot of access to helping your team build competencies through these different platforms. So whether it's all of these different technologies on automation and robots, or robotics like Sam just mentioned, or additive additive manufacturing and these new types of 3D printing technologies and hybrid printing technologies, or how to incorporate all of the data to make informed decisions. I highlight two things on this slide. One is Sam's presentation tomorrow on introduction to consumer level polymer 3D printing. It's tomorrow live at 10 a.m. for an hour, right, Sam?
Yep.
And we'll record that, so if that doesn't work for your team, feel free to watch it separately through the link. And then Nasir, one of our other engineers, is going to share some information about blue light scan data on Wednesday at the lunchtime hour. So again, utilize these resources and take involved with them and give us your feedback. You know, Sam and I both want to hear from you, Charles and Glenn. We want to hear what your needs are through Monica and Lynn. So briefly, and I'll put in, Monica, if you could advance the slide because I know we're short on time. We'll talk further about this another time, and I'll put the handout for this initiative. But because of all of your letters of support, we were able to work through AMEP way back in October of 2019 to work to get federal funding. And we've been able to secure $20 million, a piece of money here for us in Connecticut. It was a competitive program to train 1,600 of your incumbent workers in manufacturing over the next 4 years. So more to come on that. Goodwin University is the lead for the initiative, with the State University and Community College System and CCAT as partners. You're going to get $1,000 to fund for training per apprentice through the government, matching your $200 for each of those. So again, I'll put in handouts. The main message is there's some resources, there's eligibility factors. It's called CMWITI, the Connecticut Manufacturing Workforce Development Initiative. You know, we needed a new acronym for 2020, so say it all with me. But Melanie Hogan at Goodwin is the link, and anyone who is available to participate in the advisory group for that apprentice program, that's coming up on Wednesday. So you can chat with me on the side, or you can pop a note to Melanie to let her know that you're interested. But we worked hard to access these federal funding, and we really want to add it to the tool belt of helping you train your team. Lynn mentioned 180 skills. In a second, we're going to ask about your experiences with 180 skills. If you're not familiar, please look at past webinars, hear from others who have started. It's free through state funding, over 700 skills. And we highlight that they're not only technology skills. There's a lot of great technology skills on different technologies like composites and advanced fiber system. But also workplace communications people have been taking, problem solving, Excel, conflict resolution. So take a look at these, sign up your team. We've got Ed Marinka on the line. We were given 2,000 licenses to give to you to use by June 30th, and we hope that it will get extended. Lynn mentioned that we have 7 companies participating so far. We want more, and we want more than the 700 employees that are taking involved. So you can start with 1 or 2 and then keep adding up over time. It's been the foundation or the first step of our REV-Up program, that CARES program that Lynn mentioned. I see in the chat some people talking about REV-Up already and how you were able to rehire or hire those that were displaced by COVID. Over 60, and Eileen's on as well. I know those numbers are changing daily. Thank you to Matt to get some more of your folks on board. But please note these positions, you know, machinists to assemblers, engineers to tool makers, you know, canning line leads. We have all these different industries that are involved, office management, sales managers, so many diverse needs. We've been supporting the 2nd and 3rd generation family businesses, women-owned businesses, small business. This is, you know, the backbone of our economy and our manufacturing industry. And we've been excited to get that funding, even though it's been so fast for all of of us to try to get everyone involved in these 3-step trainings. So the first piece was, of course, the online. The second was participating with CCAT engineers like Sam and Nasir and others to learn more about the technologies. And then, of course, continue growing your team skills through these different initiatives that we have together. So I'm not sure, Sam, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on as it related to any of our incumbent worker trainings?
I don't believe so.
Great.
I know we're pretty
We'll
busy
loop back
trying to help
around with
out.
some of the future.
Yeah.
Thanks, Glenn.
Wow. Let me tell you, this is what it's all about. AMEP. This is what it's all about. Coming together, being able to pull people in, learn how to upskill their talents. It's learning about, it's connecting employers with employees who are potential, looking for work. It's about keeping manufacturing in the state of Connecticut alive, well, vibrant, leaning forward, making the state better than what it was. And that's really what we need to do. We need to leave that legacy. But CCAT, I have to tell you, out there in our audience, if you haven't taken advantage of the CCAT plethora of training and on-the-job training and examples of how things in I4.0 actually work, you need to do that. Automation and robotics, Internet of Things, additive manufacturing, big data analytics, it's all there. All you got to do is reach out and grab it. And CCAT has got it. It's just a fantastic program. And it's a huge resource for the state of Connecticut. Funding for apprentices, Comwitty, unbelievable. I never have been involved in an organization that says, hey, look, we've got money and we got to spend it. It's just amazing. We've got all this money. How can we spend it quickly? And then, we've got REV-Up, which, I'm sure Eileen's going to jump in here sometime. And it is just phenomenal. Same with Maroy. So that being stated, I think what I'd like to do here is take a look at now, what do you think out there in our audience? What are your perspectives? Charles and I always sort of represent you and give perspectives once a week in our webinars. But what I'd like you to do is pop on. I'd like you to talk about REV-Up. Have you taken part of that? 180 Skills online. What a great program. The Connecticut manufacturing webinars. Our webinars that we've had every single week for 36 weeks. We just closed last week for 2020, and we're going to kick that off again in 2021. And if Ron is on, I definitely would like to hear from you and what your perspective is, maybe not as a manufacturer, but, as the MC extraordinaire of those webinars. Manufacturing Day, what did we do? That's a fantastic thing. We talked about just taking a video, walk around your shop, get kids involved. I think Manufacturing Day this year was fantastic. There were so many videos that kids could take. We got the state involved. We got all of the superintendents from different areas to really get involved. Again, that's what it's all about. And then finally, job quality and your AMEP leadership out in your area. So let me start and put some people on the spot. Amanda, I know you're out there from WEPCO. Tell us, what did you see this year? How did it happen for you on those things? REV-Up, 180 Skills, anything that's on that slide there?
So Glenn, 180 Skills would be what we took advantage of the most. And it was a great resource for us. Unfortunately, thanks to the fun year we had to put a lot of training that we had planned on hold because it was training where we were either going off site as a group or having people come in, and we weren't able to do it due to COVID restrictions. But with 180 Skills, we were able to get the team set up. We got learning centers put in WEPCO where they had a desk and a station just for them where they could log on and take some of those courses. And, things from technical skills to just helping our operators increase their blueprint reading to safety. There's money management in there. Some different soft skills that I saw you mention in the chat are essential skills. And for our young team members, we have a lot that are between the ages of 18 and 25, where for them to be able to go on there and learn about how to show up to work on time, how to manage their time, how to manage their money, it helps us in the long run to really build those skills for them as well as their technical skills.
I think I was a little bit on mute there. Fantastic. When you did all of this training, which is perfect time right now, right? Things are a little bit slower for some business. Other businesses, especially at Webco, I know it wasn't, especially that you were contributing to the PPE. But during that whole time, what were the benefits? What did you see? Was it worth it?
It was definitely worth it. And I think one thing it communicated to our team was that we were still dedicated to investing in them. So while we may not have known what was going to happen tomorrow, we were still going to take that time and invest in them, pull them off the floor, do that training, and give them an opportunity to be skilled up.
Well, one thing's for sure, when you invest in your folks feel it. They like it. Nothing's worse than having folks come into your business and not helping them learn and advance and get better. So, I applaud Webco for the things that you guys do. You're always on the cutting edge, and Amanda, you are one of the people who always lead down there at Webco. So I'm sure that your company appreciates having you there. Let me ask Randy Chamberlain. I know he's out there somewhere in our audience, but what's happened, Randy, with your organization? How's things happened with you over there?
Well, first of all, this has been a very challenging year, as everyone knows. We have been very fortunate because we've been busy throughout this entire pandemic. It's been actually very hectic, of course, like everyone. We manufacture the material that goes into face shields for the medical industry. So we were going nonstop. We did have some newer people we started, and all our focus has been trying to keep everyone safe. We implemented protocols and a whole infectious disease protocol back in March. I set quite a few things up. We started wearing masks back in March. So I guess the point is we really haven't been able to take much advantage of some of these programs that are really good. We just went through the 180 skills online, kind of like the training for us to set that up. So we will be implementing that over the next couple months. Again, it's been just trying to keep the place going, keep everybody healthy. Obviously, all employees, they're very nervous. They have been nervous. I think we've demonstrated to keeping everyone safe by everything we've implemented. And that's been a full-time job, just doing that for the whole year. I know a lot of, again, there's a lot of these great programs, and I'm hoping that once we get into the new year, we'll be able to actually take advantage of some of these.
That's good to hear. I mean, there's a lot going on. You being able to reach out and take advantage of some of these programs that CCAT has been offering, as well as other organizations, is fantastic. Roy Manelli and Nancy, I think I saw Nancy at the beach here somewhere. There's waves going on. I don't know where you're at. I wish I was with you there on the beach, sipping those nice pina coladas. What I was wondering is if you can give us a little bit on the programs that you guys have been running. You've put a lot of work into your programs, and could you just give us a little bit of where you were this year?
Sure. I guess briefly, our partners like Manchester Community College have manufacturing programs going on even during this period of time. Most of them are online, although the chip cutting activities are done on campus. So we've engaged those students. We basically have defined our cohort of about 9 or 10 students, actually ranging from the age of 20 to 60. And these are, I'll say, probably I'll class them as underserved population that are looking for an opportunity. And so as they finish their manufacturing program, get their certificate from Manchester, we've now engaged employers. We actually went out with a newsletter about a week ago to about 40 plus employers, and we already got responses back from a couple with opportunities. So we are now in the process of trying to link up those students who are going through also work for preparation. So besides the formal training from the schools, we are also giving them communication training and whatever would make them successful in the workplace. So it's been hard not seeing them face to face in person. You know, we've done Zoom because the key cornerstone of our program is getting to know the applicants before we ever bring them to an employer. We both know what their formal skills are, as well as their, as best we can, their work ethic. And it's a little tougher not getting to see them face to face, but we're making progress. Again, we hope 2021 will be a lot better. Things will open up more, but we are seeing employers who have opportunities.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Nancy, anything on that? Now that you're at the beach?
You gotta unmute.
You may be on mute there.
Got it. We have to be on mute so we don't get a lot of feedback amongst our Roy and I. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that one of the things I've been able to do is I've been able to take the 180 skills online, a lot of the courses, and I wanted to recommend that. Things like conflict resolution and some of the personal finance and different things about communicating. It really helps us for our particular group for our cohort, because these are folks that have been either doing shift type of work, or they have been more on the student and academic side. So they don't necessarily know that, that employers, when they hire you, you're part of their team, and you can't just not show up to work because that work needs to be done by somebody. So that type of sense of belonging and to an employer and that you're part of the team is a really big thing for them to get into their framework and minds.
It's not easy, is it? I mean, there's a lot there, but I gotta say, the Career Pathway Employment Program. Thank you for your participation in getting that going. I think that's a big deal. Lastly, before we move on, I think I'd like to hear from Eileen Candles. Just talking about REV-Up. REV-Up, Phoenix is taking, we've taken advantage of that program. I can't tell you how great that program is. We're getting people off the streets, back to work. The training is phenomenal. I mean, you've got, training that happens virtually. And, if you're willing, you got someone to come in and work with the people. So Eileen, just bring us up to speed a little bit on that.
Sure. Thank you so much, Glenn. And thank you to everybody at CCAP, because this has been a huge team effort. It was a very fast-moving program, and I was thrilled to be asked to come in and help get it moving. And have the use of the AMEP webinar to broadcast the message really helped us spread the word quickly. So thank you for that, along with the outreach and the support of every single person at CCAT to talk to employers they might have been working with, to elbow them and encourage them to take a look at this program and see if they had anyone who qualified. So our numbers, Lynn, are a little bit higher than 60. So today, I think I had person number 66 that I was told about. So another employer. So we have, I want to say, 26 different employers spread across the state of Connecticut. And like Alice shared earlier, lots of different industries. So we have a bakery, we have a brewery, we have a graphic sign manufacturing company. We have all of the more well-known, and as some of you who've indicated today, you're participating as well. And it just has been a pleasure to work with everybody. So I can't thank you more for all of the I's you've helped me dot and T's you've helped me cross, so that Paul Barrow and I can help put together plans that work for your people and a program that helps deliver some money to you to help support people coming back to work in this crazy time. We've also had some interesting success stories with childcare subsidies, so excited about that. But maybe what's almost been most surprising is the number of companies that have lacked a central training computer. So they've taken advantage of getting laptop support or technology support through the program. And that exceeded our expectations or our planning thoughts. So, but we're happy to have it happen because also it has life beyond 1227 and they'll be using that to be more familiar and experienced and take advantage of everything good you've all shared on the call about 180 skills. So thank you. And thank you everyone for your kind words and comments and everybody at CCAT for your leadership and guidance and direction. It was such a teamwork effort and it took everybody to roll up our sleeves.
You know, it's just amazing that, again, there's money out there for manufacturers to make things happen, for businesses to make things happen. And it's a benefit. It just helps round out your business. It helps you move forward. But more importantly, it helps all of those people who need to have a job, that need to work, need to find something that they need, that they can do. It helps them get back to work. So fantastic program. Now we're looking at 2021 and beyond. I mean, we say the light might be at the end of the tunnel. And to those negative naysayers who think it's a freight train light, I don't believe that. I believe we're coming out of a very dark winter. I think we still have a long way to go. Again, you may feel the same way. But there's a plan for recovery and growth. There's more work coming. You know, are your teams ready? You know, I'd like to bring Charles and Alice in here to just, you know, let's brainstorm this, and anybody else who has something that they'd like to say. Again, it's a collaborative effort here.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about the future. I think that the stage is definitely set for us to be able to thrive. And a lot of the things that we've talked about today highlight that. The access to new people and to funding and to training. These are all the things that we need to be doing collectively now to prepare ourselves for the next stage. So while it has been a very difficult year, and there is definitely difficulty on the horizon, there is a lot of opportunity past that. And it's up to us now to really focus on how we can do that strategically. One of the things that we're doing at AMEP and at CCAT to help that is to continue on with the webinar series into 2021. It's going to look a little bit different. We're going to space it out a little bit more, have it once per month instead of once per week. But they will definitely be as dynamic and valuable and informative as they have been in the past. So some of the things, if there's things that you're dealing with or you'd like to learn more about, or you see trends or things coming up, please let us know. Reach out to any of us at AMEP or CCAT, and we'll make sure to get some of those topics into webinars coming up.
So Chelsea, I put you on the spot. What are you looking at your company? What's looking forward in 2021 over there?
Are you able to hear me okay? Okay. I wanted to touch base on the DeLisa Group Leadership Program. I think that really answers the question that you're asking. It's been a great program. It's forced our management team to really look at the future and to better plan for 2021. So we're talking about, you know, workforce development, training, as well as our succession planning, which Monica, you know, you mentioned that, and the important work that goes into that, which my husband and I will be second generation of DeCruz Manufacturing. So there's, you know, a lot of planning that goes into that, and having a program that focuses on how to transition has been really helpful to us. So that's our goal for 2021, to implement what we've learned for the DeLisa Group Leadership Program.
Certainly a challenge.
Yes, absolutely. But we're up for the challenge.
That's good to hear. That's great to hear.
guys have a good team.
We were talking before about leaning forward. You know, I love I think I hear it on a commercial on the radio. They said, you know, what are you going to do to spring back? And they said, no, not spring back, lean forward. So I think you're still on mute there, Alice. But you know, bring us a little bit. What do you see at the CCAT level? I know we talked to a lot of manufacturers, and we have other folks out here that aren't in manufacturing. What do you hear? What do you see? What's important?
Yeah, and I think that continuous improvement is part of the message. I mean, are you lean? Are you cyber safe? These different initiatives, how can AMEP help convene and train? Monica, if you go to the next slide, we very much want to hear from you. We want to incorporate your voices into our programming, whether it's the now monthly webinars or the ongoing ways to train you and your team. So we're going to be starting in 2021, an employer-driven technical advisory group. We'll try not to take too much of your time. We'll try to pull it in on specific topics. Certainly with a virtual environment, it allows you to zoom in with us for a short piece of time. You know, let Sam and the other engineers here at CCAT hear one-on-one from you as to what your needs are. Look over that laundry list of 700 different online classes. What's working? What's not? What do you need to complement it with for hands-on training, or finding those mentorships like we are able to secure with REV-Up funds, those kinds of things. So some questions that Sam and I were posing here is, how are you planning on implementing? We know you've got to implement some of these tools in the next year, in the next 5 years. Maybe it's industrial robotics on your end. Maybe it's something more additive manufacturing on somebody else's. Maybe it's pieces of both. As Sam mentioned, what topics should we be including? We want to not be operating in a vacuum and hear from you. Same thing on our services. You know, we continue to pivot and adapt. That's what the webinars were all about this year. And Eileen mentioned, we really want voices from a lot of different types of manufacturers. We know you're unique. We know that you each have things in common, but what's needed for some aerospace manufacturers may or may not be exactly what's for plastics or for stamping. You know, there's all different kinds of needs, and we want to make sure we're supporting. So my email is here. You can certainly reach me through Glenn or Charles or Lynn, but our hope is to convene a group and make it be really hands-on. At the end of January, some more to come. Let us know if you or someone on your team might be the best person for us to huddle with on an ongoing basis this year to inform our work.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, you know, we have a lot that's been done this year to put more structure around AMEP. And, you know, again, I thank you for all of the structure that your team has helped out behind getting us more structured. For instance, Monica, we were talking about, you know, the charter. And we're looking at now with Alice saying, let's get a leader and spin off, you know, a technical advisory group that's manufacturer led, you know, employer driven. These are all important advancements for AMEP, and it's part of our revolution. We're coming to a close. We got about a minute left. Two things. If you haven't been through to see the Connecticut Manufacturers webinar series, I would you know, urge you to attend those. They're going to change to the tempo is going to be only once a month. It's going to be the first Thursday of every month, if I'm right. And they are just fantastic and chock full of information that you really would like to hear. Thursday, January 7th, it's sort of like a lunch and learn, 12 to 1. We're going to feature Kelly McDaniel. If you never heard her speak, let me tell you, fantastic lady on leadership. She really has a treasure chest just full of really good information. So I urge you to be there. For the last minute, I know we're going to go a little bit over here, but what I'd like to do is, if we could go to the last slide, are there any questions or comments before we close down? You can just pop it and ask one of our panelists, any of the people here, or each one to another company, any questions that you might have.
Glenn, can I just ask, I just would like to ask Enrique to introduce himself and say hello to us. He represents our funding that comes through Workforce Solutions, but not only that, we have been recognized by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We have been recognized by Deloitte. So he really supports our work in many ways, and I would just like him to say hello.
Thank you, Lynn, and hello, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here and see you virtually. I also get great pleasure in seeing the progress you're making. There is a famous saying that luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And you've been working for a long time to get to this point. This is a voyage. And I'm very, very happy to support it in every possible way. And I'm very proud of the work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. That is fantastic. Ben Clapp is on here. Thank you, Ben, for being here. You're looking fantastic. With you're the best looking guy on the webinar here today. Nice and dressed up. So we have Ben. Dan Garuski, he's here as well. He's looking just as good down there. I wanted to say hello to you guys and acknowledge that you're here. I was looking for Ron for a word or two, but and there he is. Ron, could you help us close out? Just give us a few words of wisdom from the head office.
Well, it's certainly hard to follow you, Glenn, but everyone on here, the words of wisdom, I've been listening, and my apologies because I was a little delayed, but you know, just a great conversation and kind of great recap. I can say that in the time that I've been here at CCAT, this is probably the most rewarding relationship that we have. I mean, the work with CCAT and AMEP gets us right directly engaged with the manufacturers, with the technology companies, with the providers. And that's really where our heart lies. And I think, Glenn, you and Charles and your participation on the webinars just shows the importance of leading with industry, listening to exactly what you guys want. And I think you've heard from the CCAT team, just a part of it. And I can tell you they're as magnificent as a team I've ever worked with alongside. And they're the ones that make it happen day in and day out. And you know, continuous improvement is things that we've heard about. We want to be obviously very technology focused. We need to understand where technology is going. And if we do, then we'll know exactly what we need to train for or to upskill for and to be educating for. And so getting that feedback from industry about where you're going, what are some of the challenges? And, you know, I think continuous improvement, we say it, and, you know, maybe we've said it in past years, but with Industry 4.0, and let's face it, 5.0, you know, is already here, artificial intelligence, machine learning. There isn't a choice anymore. You either adapt and continue to evolve very quickly, or you're going to run into much bigger challenges. And that's what we're all here for. Understanding what these challenges are, working together as a team in these holistic ways. And, you know, 2021 is going to be a great year. I mean, we have so many opportunities and resources for all of you on this webinar, and some that are obviously not on this particular webinar today, but everything that we can do, you know, we're here to do for you. And I can't thank Lynn and Monica and Alice and Millie and Eileen and all of it. It's just amazing. And Glenn, you and Charles to be representing AMEP so well in these months. It's been wonderful. So thank you for all the work, and I look forward to 2021.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ron, you know, it's always a pleasure. You are definitely a leader who we have learned a lot from over this year. It's difficult. You've stayed the course. So I want to personally thank you for all the lessons that you gave me this year. It's fantastic.
Well, likewise. A lot of learning from each other.
Now, where's Charles? I know he's in there. Charles, if you could just take it and close us up, that would be great. I know we're a little bit over, but I'd like to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Glenn. And thank you for doing the heavy lifting here today. I appreciate you leading us through this. So just as a last word, thank you so much to everyone for attending. We'd love for you to continue to support AMEP so that we can support you throughout the year. So get involved as much as you can. Listen to the webinars, let us know if you have ideas, come to the quarterly meetings. And as Alice mentioned before, there's going to be some opportunities for some advisory councils coming up. So we'd love for you to participate in that and use these programs while they're out there. That's the last thing I really want to say. If we don't use them, they go away and they don't come back. So it's really important to take advantage of these things when they come along. So with that, I want to thank everybody and I wish you the safest and happiest of holidays. And I just appreciate all of you so much. As Glenn mentioned, I've learned a lot this year too, and it just comes from these interactions. So thank you so much, everyone, and just have a wonderful rest of your 2020, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye now. Thank you.